Welcome back. Mitch Argon here with Calneva Realty. I'm going to take you through the August Reno-Tahoe real estate market in just a few minutes. Okay, let's take a look at median price for July of 2023 compared to July of 2022. A couple things here that may be a little bit surprising for some of you out there. The first is the Reno market is actually 1% higher last month than it was the same month a year ago. And I talked about this last month in the video I did, that we're seeing prices right back up very close to where they were a year ago and beginning to stabilize out. So there's some indication we're just a little bit higher on price last July of last month versus a year ago, even with the higher interest rates. Of course, we know that the lower inventory is what's driving that being relatively constant. Other markets in here you can see are off slightly below from where they were. This one down here further is a little bit higher, but these markets are becoming very much consistent with where they were a year ago. Surprisingly, Carson Valley had a median price high, with the green check boxes for, at $732,000. A year ago it was $730,000, and that market is essentially flat from 1 year ago. So again, as I meet people when I'm out or meeting with new clients, to explain to somebody that the perception is that the markets have crashed. So when people understand the prices are about where they were a year ago, and they understand the forces in the market, it can be a little bit surprising for many people. So here's the numbers. To look at this visually, you can see here the trend line. You can see here the spike up here with Carson Valley. Don't think that's the beginning of a trend. I think it's probably going to end up selling right around this area in here in the low 600s, maybe around 600,000. But that's what we're looking at. Let's take a look at this chart and look at your market of choice. We've been tracking and sharing this with you for the last several months, the housing affordability view. This housing affordability view for July of this is just last month, shows that the payment would be for a 20% down conventional loan, 30-year loan with a good borrower, good credit score, would have been just over $3,100 a month, $3,142, and that's up to $600,000 median price. As you can see, this is up substantially from where we were back in 2020, largely due to two things: the rise in prices and the rise in interest rates. Most of this coming with the rise in interest rates here through the latter part of 2021. I'm sorry, of 2022 coming through here. Rents have gone up too. I'll talk in here just a little bit about some of the rental market and why rent prices have gone up along with home prices. But as the rents have gone up, it's kind of moved the scale around what was affordable rent versus affordable payment. So this is what we're looking at. We talked on pricing over here a few slides back. The home sold is another indicator of how these markets have recovered. You can see that most of these markets now from July of this year compared to July of last year are up, and some of them in a pretty substantial way with the volume of homes being sold. So we did start to see sales volume come down during the second half of last year, and it stayed down probably through about March of this year. But again, much like the prices have kind of stabilized from where they were a year ago, the sales volume is also actually equal or greater than what it was a year ago. Month supply of inventory, still quite low, still in seller's market territory. You can see Carson Valley has crept up to the 3.1 month supply of inventory. We're seeing a little more inventory build in Carson Valley than we are in some of the other markets, but in general, we're all across the board in seller market territory. Tahoe has a very different market dynamic, and so this metric of seller neutral and buyer market doesn't really apply. We are seeing very low inventories at the lake as well, and that's just a phenomenon really through all the markets. I thought I'd take a quick snapshot and just share with you the inventory numbers. I don't have them broken out on the prior slide, but this really puts a magnifying glass on the chronic inventory shortage that we have. A year ago, August of 2022, the number one issue I was hearing from my agents in terms of trying to help, in particular, a client who was buying a home, was that we needed more inventory. We needed more inventory. So in fact, a year later, not do we have more inventory, but we got substantially less. You can see these numbers here, 38%, 42%, 24%, 10%. Most of these are around, probably with the exception of Carson Valley, around 40% less than where we were a year ago. So this chronic inventory shortage is what is keeping pricing up, while we have interest rate rises putting downward pressure. Combination of those two forces are showing this relative stability in the marketplace. And it's a very tight market, driven by two major forces, inventory and interest rates, which drives affordability. This is a visual view of the chart I just showed. We were looking at this month here compared to the same month a year ago over here. But you can see the trend line. While we've seen inventory build, it is still quite a bit less than where it was a year ago. And that's just the state of the market. Month supply of inventory, relatively stable. You can see here that the Carson Valley is breaking out for the pack a little bit over here and rising. But for the most part, you can see we're fairly stable in this trading range of around two months supply of inventory. Seller's market territory by technical definition. This is a chart I want to share with you. Last month, we talked about the interest rates and the inventory shortfalls and how the interest rates could ease inventory because people don't want to sell their homes because they're locked in at these low rates. And I talked about the underbuilding that was taking place during the Great Recession years, and that is also a major contributor towards the inventory shortages that we're having. So this is a chart. I didn't produce this chart. It was produced by the Center for Regional Studies at the University of Nevada, Reno, and it's a little bit dated. This is like January 2022, so it's about 18 months old. But what it does is it really illustrates the main factor as to why we have these low inventory situations in our market. And what it shows is a combination of residential units built in Washoe County, and it goes back to 1990, so it goes back some time. This green line is population. On these bars, the blue is single-family units, new single-family units constructed, and the red is multifamily units, which would be apartment buildings, fourplexes, and duplexes, and so on. And what you'll see here is that starting in 2007, we fell way behind in terms of new construction for residential housing units, both for multifamily and for single family. And it became quite chronic. If you get down here into 2010 and 2011, at the bottom of the market, there was almost no building going on. And so you have this shortfall. And so at the moment, what we're working out of is really rebuilding beyond all of these shortfalls for all of these years. So once we get caught up, and we're getting closer towards getting caught up, we're still not probably quite there, but as we get closer towards getting caught up on a year-by-year basis, that's great news. However, we still have all of this inventory shortage that was not being built to meet the demand of population growth. So this shortfall is what needs to be made up as we go forward. And so what that means is we got to be building above this green line for probably several years because this was a multi-year shortfall. To put this into numbers, I did go through and did a little bit of math for you. I went from 2007 through 2021, which is on the chart that we just saw. And I took the estimates that were needed. That's a rough estimate from the chart on the green line. And the units built. This is both single family and multifamily combined. And then I did the math and got the shortfall, of course, what we needed minus what was built. And so every year during these years, this shortfall column represents the number of units that were not being built that should have been built to keep up with just population growth. And when you add these up in aggregate, what you get is a little over 38,000 units. That's a combination of single family homes and apartments or units in a multifamily. So this is significant. This 38,000 units of underbuilding, we have not yet started to address because we're just getting caught up now. What this means is over the next several years, we are going to have to build more than we need for the current year to chip away this 38,000 underbuilt market that we're looking at. This is why our inventory shortage is not going to go away in 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. It's probably a multi-year build out or undigging from this shortfall that we had coming out of the Great Recession. So hope that shines some light on this whole topic of conversation that we've been having here over the last few months. Quick summary, the markets have stabilized, as I just showed you, based on pricing, based on number of homes sold. Inventory and interest rates are still the main topics, the main drivers. This low inventory issue, we could get some relief from sellers who are locked in their homes if rates get down into probably the mid 5% range. Does not appear that that's going to be happening anytime soon. Perhaps maybe by the end of next year, I don't know, maybe middle of next year, but not going to happen anytime in the very near future based on all indications from the Fed. And then of course, this low inventory is, as I just shared with you a couple charts, we need to catch up from the Great Recession years that we were underbuilt. And again, that's probably, I don't know, it's probably a minimum of a 5-year horizon, maybe longer, depending on how aggressive builders are in the region. So hope these charts are useful. If you have any questions regarding real estate, please reach out to me or any of our agents who you may be working with. We'd be happy to help you anywhere throughout the region, serving you from our offices in Midtown Reno and in the Carson Valley and Minden. Until next time, thank you very much. Have a great day. Appreciate your time.